Hello and welcome to the second video in this series on exploring Cimatron for mold design, which continues the themes from the first video. So we recommend you watch that one if you haven't already done so. In this presentation we will focus on dividing the part into cavity and core surfaces using QuickSplit, and then use compare to consider part or engineering changes. At the end of the first video, we had performed direction analysis, which helps us define the primary pole directions and any trapped or undercut conditions. This tool clearly helps determine whether the mold position is suitable, or if the part needs to be tipped. We will use QuickSplit to divide the part up into cavity and core surfaces. Click the New Direction button to select our first pole direction. Select a name. Then pick a face that we know lies within that pole direction. Cimatron selects the active Z-positive axis for the pole direction, but we could pick another if we wanted. Now all the faces that it sees in that direction are placed on the cavity. Here is our first view of the slide bar, which is used to preview the splits on the pole directions we create. Notice the clean separation that QuickSplit makes along the parting line. Let's now create the core split. We will pick the appropriate name, in this case core, and then we will tell the system to pick only those faces which have not yet been assigned. Then we pick a single surface that we know faces that pole direction, and make sure that our direction vector is pointing along the Z-negative axis, or the core pole direction. After analysis, the core surfaces are identified, and we see anything that is at least partially undercut or trapped between the two pole directions is shown here in yellow. We will accept the core faces now. The yellow faces will remain unassigned because they are trapped. Using the dynamic slider to separate cavity and core, we can see which faces have yet to be assigned. These remaining unassigned faces can be placed on a separate pole direction. But in this case we are going to manually attach them to the core faces and let the lifters take care of them. And that is simply done using the middle mouse button to select the core faces. You can display the entire part while the different split directions are separated. Another important option to QuickSplit is the ability to analyze faces based upon their draft angle. Draft angles are displayed using a range of fully customizable colors that are assigned based upon the angle. Individual features of interest can be tagged while the part is in its dynamic separation, so that draft angle value at that location can be seen on screen. In this case, vertical walls have been color-coded as violet, whereas anything that is seen undercut or trapped is displayed in red. And finally, this information can be output in a PDF file, so that it can be shared with other engineers or with the customer. Engineering changes are a real part of a mold designer's life. So let's compare the current design to a new version. Select the revised version, so it can be overlaid on the existing model. A comparison chart shows the features that are changed in the new model versus the old model. Click on the different display sets to display or hide the entire new model, shown in blue, or old model, shown in red. Everything that remains the same is displayed in gray. Now we can clearly see all the changes that have occurred in the design, from center front of the part, out to each of the far ends. In addition to comparing the old and the new model to see what's changed, we can also create a deviation map, which will show us just how much material has been removed or how much it may have been increased. The display to this deviation map can be set to a range of sizes and colors of our choosing. So first let's set the display to show only those areas where material has been removed. Here we can see clearly how material has been removed from those flat areas. Now let's set the display to show the areas where material has been added. And of course both added and removed areas can be shown together. As is the case with the other analysis tools, all this information can be published to a PDF file, where again it can be shared with other engineers or discussed with the customer. After running the comparison, we have faces that are not assigned to either the cavity or the core side. So to remedy this, we will stitch these new faces into the existing model, and then rerun the quick split directions. To do that, we'll right-click on the split direction, in this case the cavity side, and say Edit Direction. We want to keep the same pull direction that we used before. In this case, Z positive. But we'll have the system now look back through all these faces again and recalculate what it sees in that pull direction. And then of course we will do the exact same thing with the core direction. Some of these new faces, like the faces from before, may be trapped or undercut, so we'll manually assign them to the cavity or the core side. To do that, we'll select the faces, and then middle mouse, drop them on the pull direction we wish to assign them to. And with that, we've incorporated the engineering change into our design. These exact steps can be done at any time during the mold design process, even after the full cavity and core block separation. Thank you for reviewing this presentation. Our next video will deal with the subject of creating parting lines, parting and shut-off surfaces, and separating cavity and core blocks using active parting.